What is up guys, Andy Forrest Team Runner here and welcome back to another video, and today I'm giving you guys my first impressions of the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. So there we go, first run done in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. Plenty more testing to come, but that was a really solid 80-minute moderate effort. All stats will have been on screen, and I'm excited to share with you guys my thoughts on this awesome addition to my lineup during marathon training in 2022. If you're excited for my thoughts on the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, make sure you give the video a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll start with the tech. So we'll kickstart by saying I went true to size in this shoe, UK size 13, and it fits absolutely perfectly. We have an 8mm heel to toe drop, 39.5mm of stack in the heel, 31.5 in the forefoot, and in my UK size 13 it comes in at 256 grams or 9 ounces. And let's start our way from the back of the shoe and move our way down, covering the tongue, the lacing, the upper, the midsole, and finishing off with the outsole. We have a nice heel counter area here, which has a little bit of structure here, not a lot because it can fold right in, and it is a racing shoe. This whole shoe is a lightweight package, but there is a little bit of something just to add a bit of stability there when you slip your foot in. I have to say this is a big improvement from version 1, where I did in my left foot I think suffer a little bit of heel slippage. Not the case with this shoe, but bar this padding that runs around the top here, this is very lightweight thin mesh material which runs around the whole shoe. As you probably saw in the B-roll footage, you could see my sock all the way through the shoe, so it is very well ventilated, very lightweight and weight saving all the way around. So bar this structure here at the back, the rest is this lovely lightweight mesh upper. The padding around the ankle collar though adds a great touch, and it just cuts under the ankle bone nicely, so there's no rubbing, no anything there. That sits there perfectly. The tongue is paper thin, has 3 holes cut out down there, and is actually quite short. I was a little bit concerned of tongue slippage. It didn't happen. I'll cover more about that shortly, but it is quite short. It just sits above the top of the laces there. So it doesn't come right up the ankle, it sits just literally a centimetre past the top lace. I should think if you use the extra runner's knot hole, you might find that the top laces maybe just go above the tongue. I'm not sure, I haven't tried it, I don't need to because I've managed to get a good lockdown feeling. In terms of the lacing though, it is solid, it's good as I just said. The gusseted tongue, I forgot to mention that, the gusseted tongue and the lacing mean the lockdown in this shoe is fantastic. It uses a form-fit design, which is what I loved with it, Ride 15, which is just basically where it hugs your foot. It's really nicely, the material wraps around your foot and you get such a comfortable ride. And obviously there's always a worry when you have lighter weight shoes, less structure. That might not be the case, you might have material that moves around, is a bit baggy. Just not the case with this shoe. It just hugs it so nice. So really good stuff there from Saucony. And the upper itself is, as I said, lovely and lightweight and breathable. Some overlays on the top here, really nice, and overall a simplistic but effective upper. The Power Run PB in this shoe is brilliant, so soft. Again, an improvement from version 1. Extra material. Again, I haven't tested version 2, but extra stack height, extra volume of Power Run PB there from that first version that I tested. And again, a brilliant, soft and bouncy ride with a full S-shaped carbon plate in this shoe. Again with the speed roll tech, which is all about the geometry, how your foot lands and rolls through the foot stride. It's just that perfect balance of the pop and roll sensation that these shoes give you. Again, a massive thumbs up for the midsole, lovely and squishy there. The outsole, we'll talk about that shortly. We have rubber coverage at the top here, some exposed cutouts there where you can see the plate and you can see the plate in the middle. So you can see how far back it is in the midfoot and how close it is to the base of the shoe in the forefoot. So that's the S curvature, with it being a little bit up higher here and then cutting down closer towards the outsole. All in all, I've got to say, I'll share my thoughts on the outsole shortly. The rubber coverage is there and in the high wearing areas at the bottom here, but the rest is exposed midsole, and that is it for the tech. So now for my first impressions, how did I find this shoe on the first run? Well, first of all, I have two things to say. Number one, this shoe has indeed been sent to me by Saucony for the purpose of review. However, they do not have any editorial control over this and they will not see this video before you guys do, first and foremost. And secondly, this is of course just my first run. I'm excited to be putting more miles in it later this week, so I will drop another video next week talking about how they perform in a workout and of course on a long run. They will be my long run shoe this weekend, so excited to share those thoughts. Make sure you subscribe and stick around to find out more information on these shoes. But overall, I've got to say, first run was absolutely fantastic. I want to share a couple of points that I feel need to be highlighted before just sort of going into an amazing rant about these shoes. The grip. Something that still needs to be addressed, I feel. There's a couple of types of concrete that I ran on today. Some really smooth, lovely new tarmac, which it was absolutely fine on. But some of the older pavements with a slightly older tarmac, it was a little bit slippy. And that's something that I found in previous versions of the Speed and the Pro. It's just a little bit like being on an ice skating rink when it's a bit wet. So that's something to be aware of. Overall, it was absolutely fine for most of the run, but there were just a couple of points where it was a little bit dicey. So that's number one. Number two, the gusseted tongue holds things in place and it's great, but just beware of how low the tongue is. I was concerned the tongue would slip. It didn't slip, which is great, but I have to say I was concerned about it. I did have a couple of messages of people saying just beware of the tongue. They found it slipped. It didn't for me, and I haven't heard any other reports of it. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that and I'll update you after further testing. But those are the only two things that I feel I need to highlight you guys on with this shoe. Overall, this was incredible and such a great improvement from Pro 1. I feel like they've stepped their game up and they really are producing something here which is pretty darn magic. The Power Run PB midsole in this thing and the extra volume of it is just an absolute dream to run in. It feels softer, it feels bouncier. I feel like we're getting a lot closer to this thing matching up with the other super shoes now. I feel like this is a real contender to match up with the best, and I think that is a great compliment I think that you can give Saucony, to be producing a shoe which I feel is now really mixing it up there with the best. I think the upper is great, the fit of the shoe is great, the bounciness was great. I just glided along today, low heart rate, lovely pace, feeling good in the shoe, and the comfort levels are through the roof. It's something I loved, as I mentioned before in the Ride 15, was the form fit upper. It does just hug your foot. This is exactly the same. It's something that I love, that what Saucony are doing, this whole form fit thing. These shoes do have some of the best uppers in the game at the moment. The way they hug and wrap around your foot is absolutely ideal. I think for me, basically after the first run, it's just made me really excited to test it more. So my plans are going to be later in the week to test it on a workout, as I said, and then a longer run on the weekend, putting in some serious miles in this shoe over the coming days. So I think I'm going to be giving you guys more feedback on that, so stay tuned, as I said, next week. But after the first run, I've got to say this is an absolute piece of magic. Massive kudos to Saucony. I think bar the tongue and bar the grip, I think they're really onto something here, and fingers crossed I can get plenty more miles out of it. Now I know this shoe's been out for a while, so I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below on how you've been using it and how you've been testing it. It is, as I said, a big plus, a big improvement, a big addition to the marathon training rotation, and I do feel like this is something I might end up racing in sooner rather than later, which is really, really exciting. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, those are my thoughts after the first run in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel that this is an improvement on the previous versions? Let me know, let everyone know. and share if you've managed to get a decent amount of miles in them. It'd be great to hear how they're holding up for you. That's it for me today, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, please do give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Until then.